Welcome to the Coffee and Crypto team. When everything feels bearish, usually rallies come after. When everything feels bullish, usually crashes follow shortly after.
Amen.
The levels I'm watching are, first of all, that 17,600.
If you're listening to the sound of my voice, that can mean only one thing, and that's that you are in the market pulse, baby. Let's do it. The merge has shipped.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
Come on now.
That is the date that the Federal Reserve will be making their Fed rate decision.
Well, gee, Tim, I would love to do that. I think we're still going to see projects like Bored Ape Yacht Clubs or things like that still exist. The answer is 1,000 Dogecoin.
Oh.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Coffee and Crypto, or as I like to call it, because this is a weird afternoon, water refilled Gatorade bottle in crypto. It's going to be a great show. First of all, we're very, very happy not only to let you guys know that we are still alive after Hurricane Ian. We're back in studio because my house lost power. Apparently no one else in Gainesville. It was just me that lost power. I saw one tree in an open field that had the roots had come up, but it was also swampland, so the amount of water that was already sitting there.
Yeah.
But we do, as grateful as we are to be healthy and alive, and it looks like everything is past us. Thoughts and prayers definitely out to anyone in Naples, which you guys are not watching this right now because I'm assuming
Or Fort Myers.
You do not have power. Fort Myers, I saw some video that was pretty crazy. So if you guys have family there, we are praying for you and your family. Continue to reach out to anyone you know down there. We will keep you guys posted on what we find out. I have family that's actually in Naples. My wife's sister. So sister, nephew, and then her mom was down there watching and spending time with them. They're okay. We have heard from them. They're out of power, but crazy stuff happening down there. But I'm very glad to be able to come here to continue to be with you guys. It's going to be a shorter show today. Not the usual. We don't have any guests today, and we weren't even quite sure we were going to come in. This was kind of a call we made this morning around 9 o'clock.
It was Smay's idea.
We're like, all right, so I think we're good here. Let's go in and do an afternoon video. Just kind of keep them updated on what's happening because we did have those GDP numbers. But this is going to be a nice short and sweet. We'll have our market pulse. We'll do some technical analysis, and we'll engage with chat. But if we make it to an hour, that's just because you guys are awesome. And you guys keep everything going. That's what you guys should expect for the show. This is different, but I'm here to have fun with you guys. Of course, we will be talking GDP numbers. Also, there's some other interesting stories going on with the potential of what could happen if CFTC not only gets to regulate Bitcoin, but also the rest of the cryptocurrency space. We kind of know they're leaning towards Bitcoin, but what if they get all of crypto? That would be phenomenal. Make sure you stay tuned for the entire show to hear all about what would happen. Let me go ahead and introduce my fantastic team this afternoon. I got T-Shroom over here to my right, and we got a special guest in office.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if she's going to come on camera, but the famous girlfriend of T-Shroom, Amanda.
That's right.
Lady Shroom.
The one that keeps him looking and sounding as beautiful and amazing as he is every single day.
That's
She's
right.
with us on set right now, but I don't think she wants to come on camera. So if we get to 400 likes, I'm going to say 400. We got 98 people watching now.
Whoa, all right.
That means you guys need to go get other people to come watch this show. 400 likes and Amanda steps on camera.
I think we do it.
That's... I didn't ask her about that. But
Yeah, I was about to say that was like that was just that was very forceful, but all right.
We'll see. You'll see. Smay, people have now heard your voice. How you doing today, Smay? In the poncho. Come on.
Ni hao. Namaste.
Ni hao.
Konnichiwa.
Hello.
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 Cheers.
That means bye. So
That's bye, yeah.
That's bye.
It's hello and goodbye, isn't it?
No, it's
Choose
not.
is bye.
Aloha.
Auf Wiedersehen is goodbye.
Let me think of another greeting. How do you say hello in Spanish?
I have no idea.
Hola. Thank you. Wow.
Hola? Is it hola?
Hola.
Yeah, that's true. That was easy.
Hola.
That was an easy one. I'm so stupid.
How did
All right.
that escape my brain?
All right. Anyways, back to
Like I said, I was the only one that lost power. I woke up this morning at about 7:30. We still had power, but I was like, all right, we don't have a show today. I could hear the wind outside. It wasn't really that bad. About 30 minutes later, 8 o'clock, we lost power. So I was like, oh, okay, there we go. We're out of power. So I get up. My wife and I are moving this weekend. We actually drove over to the other house because it wasn't raining at that time. We just had power out. And then I'm starting to watch the group chat talk. Nobody lost power except for me. So you guys all had to have a normal morning other than coming in the show. It was weird. I want to hear what you guys think. Was it not weird waking up during a weekday and not just coming in here to do the show. Like for me,
Yes.
that was
It was
weird.
very
very weird waking up and not coming in to do the show, as you said.
very weird.
If it had been like storming and like the wind was crazy and stuff, I would have been like, all right, this makes sense. But it was just I woke up and it just felt like a normal, like kind of cloudy, windy day.
Yeah.
And we just weren't coming in to do the show. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we get to come and do the afternoon portion of this. We're about to jump into our favorite portion of the show. And that is the reading of the green names. I don't know how many are in here because it's an afternoon show and people are the word's probably still getting out there about it. We did our best we could to update all the social medias. But Smay, why don't you go ahead and read some of those green and blue names that we love so much?
Yes, Tim, it would be my pleasure. All rise for the reading of the green names. All right.
Goodness gracious.
All opposed.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Anyone who has any reason to oppose this union of Smay and green names, please speak now or forever hold your peace.
Goodness.
What was that, Amanda?
All right, that's all right. So,
I have no idea what we're
So
what
that
we're doing with this.
means therefore with the power invested in me, I shall read the green names. Here we go. Silent, Mitch Shaw, Agent Gold, Justin Eubanks. Who else we got here? Amello Fellow. We have Silent. We got Agent Gold. We got Nick West, and as opposed to Nick East. Next here we have
That's why we need the buttons.
we have
Yeah.
We need
Go CJC and so many more. I love you guys, and by so many more I mean no more. So wow, you guys really didn't show up. We
told them we weren't
We
coming,
survived
so-
this hurricane, and you guys just didn't want to show up.
No,
I'm hurt, man. I'm hurt.
Come on, man. Why'd you come on now?
Because it's like a negative. It's like
Okay.
a sad, disappointed. Come on now. Come on now.
This I can already tell this is gonna be a fun show. And for everyone who did show up, thank you so much. Again, this isn't our normal audience because
Why are you tightening the mic?
it got loose and then it moves around on me, and so when I tighten it, it helps it stay still, and then it's a fidget thing. I guess.
cut it
mostly.
out.
I told Smay that if we get to 4,000, did I say 2,000 or 4,000?
400.
Oh, we're definitely not 400 because I told you if we get to a certain
2,000 concurrent.
If I
that's
said if we
right.
got to 2,000 concurrent, we would permanently move the show to this slot. I don't think we're in danger of that happening.
That would be
Thank
a
you
nightmare.
for that added laugh track there, Smainold. Yeah, I don't think that's happening, but so glad to see all of the faithful continue to turn out here, and the few that are missing, I'm sure they're going to go back and watch it later, because I know that was probably rough on a lot of people waking up and not getting their daily dose of coffee and crypto. We're about to jump into the next favorite part of the show, our market pulse here, but our market pulse today is brought to you guys by BitGet. This is a new sponsor for us, and we absolutely love them. This is a trading exchange that is phenomenal because of two different things. First of all, when you're looking at exchanges, you got to worry about security these days. BitGet to this date has no security breaches whatsoever. The second thing when you're looking at trading exchanges, you're wondering, what are the fees to trade here? Is it going to be worth it long term? Well, I can tell you right now, BitGet has one of the lowest fees out there if you're looking to trade. I know, for example, if you're using Coinbase Pro, you're probably looking at 0.2 to 0.3 percent on every single trade, whereas on BitGet, it's more like 0.02. So we're talking very, very little fees whatsoever. If that is something you would love to have and you are inside the United States, I'm not quite sure where all BitGet goes. I know you can get it in the United States. Consider using them. There's a link down below. You can sign up today. With that said, T-Shirt, why don't you go ahead and take us into our Thursday, September 29th Market Pulse.
If you're listening to the sound of my voice, that can mean only one thing, and that's that you are in the Market Pulse, baby. Let's do it. We're not doing the Fear and Greed today. We're going to start off with the GDP print. As you can see in the title, our actual number was negative 0.6, which was in line with the forecast there and is higher than the previous, which is good. We already knew that, though, months ago. Because indeed, this is the second revision of this Q2 GDP print. So this is the final revision. And for you who don't understand the prequel, the revision, and then the final, that's okay. But basically, economists get together and they try to figure out the most accurate ways to get these prints. And the best way they've come up with right now is that they're going to update it periodically per quarter. And they do that 3 times. I want to show you guys a graph really quick of where we are historically. As you can see here, let's see if we can go back and find. Oh yeah, so the pandemic was here. All this crazy volatility in the GDP it went from -31 all the way up to positive 33 within the span of just a couple months there. So pretty craziness. But now it has leveled out, kind of got back into this norm of plus or minus, 3 points GDP. And right now we're cruising at, well, negative 0.6, right? But we were last quarter or Q1 at negative 1.6. So much steeper into the negative territory, but we are still unable to get out of that territory of negative GDP growth. Some of the biggest contributors to that negative growth is construction, non-durable goods manufacturing, wholesale trade, and durable goods manufacturing. So non-durable, durable goods, basically stuff, making stuff, and also construction. So residential and commercial buildings or governmental buildings, all of those things have been a lag on the economy. Some of the big winners for the economy have been accommodation and food services, professional, scientific, and technical services, healthcare, and social assistance. So a lot of services are leading the U.S. economy right now. Financial and insurance services also doing pretty well. Arts and entertainment, recreation doing well. So all things to keep in mind here, and keep in mind that this was all Q2, right? So we have just wrapped up Q3. So this is pretty old data, and we're going to be looking ahead now to see what the Q3 GDP is going to print at, what it gets revised at, and then what its final is, because that's going to obviously bear a lot of importance for the decision-making of Jerome Powell. All right, crypto, though. Crypto right now is kind of trying to make up its mind which way it wants to go today. Bitcoin down almost 0.5%, half of a percentage point there, and then Ethereum is up about the same amount. And then you go on down, Binance up almost 1%, XRP about the same, and then Cardano down almost 1%, whereas Solana is leading the way of the top 10, up 2.5% this afternoon on September 29th. So that's your crypto kind of rundown there. Let's see who's leading the pack down. Leading the pack forward of the top 100 is Flow, the Flow token. And then I won't even mention that one because I don't know anything about that. But we're going to move on to our stories. Binance starts Ethereum proof of work mining pool initially without a fee. You might be very confused by this headline. I was too, so let's read a little bit more to understand it. Cryptocurrency exchange Binance said customers can now join a mining pool for ETHW, the forked version of Ethereum that retains the blockchain's original proof of work underpinnings. Participants in the ETHW pool will not be charged a fee during a promotional period that ends October 29th. So if you're out there and you have GPUs that are unused, you potentially are looking into this. What the heck could this mean for you who are sitting there losing money on your GPU investment? Not to be confused with GDP. GPUs is graphical processing unit, I believe. And that's what people use to mine crypto. Historically, you've been able to mine Ethereum, but when the merge happened, you were not able to anymore. Well, Binance is opening a pool to mine the fork of Ethereum that is still proof of work, that is still mineable. And when Binance is, I'd say this is a big statement here, kind of Binance getting the last word here. September has been a very big debate over proof of work versus proof of stake. The proof of work, the ETH merge that brought ETH off of proof of work was a pretty big statement in the world of crypto, stating that crypto needs to be environmentally friendly. It needs to be less energy intensive. Others say that that crypto mining needs to be intensive, energy intensive. So Binance here having a pretty big last word as we exit September, saying, hey, no, actually proof of work is important for Ethereum. It's important for a crypto. We'll see how far that goes. If we check back in a month, I wonder, what the price of ETHW is compared to ETH, if it's able to decouple. And I believe it already is. I got to be honest, I don't really track the price of ETHW there, but the big takeaway here is that Binance is making kind of a big statement here as we conclude the month. That was a huge debate topic of proof of work versus proof of stake. Moving on to the next topic here. OpenSea partners with Warner Music Group on music NFT drops. So pretty big headline here, but you'll be surprised to hear that the other big two music labels actually have done this already. So the move follows other major splashes the music NFT industry saw earlier this year. And those, of course, were in February, Universal Music Group partnered with the entertainment NFT platform Curio to drop digital assets for the record label. Music streaming giant Spotify announced in May that it was beginning trials on NFTs on its platform. So, so it's not the other big two. The other one would be Sony Music. But so far, Universal and now Warner are splashing onto the scene with their NFT partnerships. Spotify, obviously pretty big in the music world as well, although I don't believe that they have any of their own original artists signed. I don't think that their business structure is anything similar to Sony, Universal, and Warner. But I could be mistaken about that. Let me know in the comments if you know better than I about the business model for Spotify. I believe they make the majority of their music off of subscriptions. Moving on to the next story here. CFTC Chair says crypto regulations could double Bitcoin price. This is a pretty attractive headline, if I do say so myself. Chairman Rostin Behnem said on Thursday that Bitcoin might double in price if it traded in a CFTC regulated market. The chairman added that the crypto industry had a massive opportunity for institutional inflows that will only occur if there's a regulatory structure. He went on to say that non-bank crypto institutions thrive on regulation. They thrive on regulatory certainty. They thrive on a level playing field because they are the smartest, the fastest, and the most well-resourced. So if you want big money to get into crypto, then it's got to be regulated. Now, some people are listening to the sound of my voice and saying, well, I don't want big money in crypto. I don't want them having a big stake in this decentralized currency. Well, here at least I feel kind of in the middle, but kind of leaning towards, no, I think we do need to go ahead and regulate so that we can get institutional money in there. That's just the way that I feel. Tim, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, this is a topic that came up last night when I was on the blockchain. By the way, speaking of it, I always forget to tell you guys that I'm going on. I'll remind you again, I'm on every Wednesday from here on out, but I'm going to try to do a better job of letting you guys know Wednesday morning. But this topic came up. We were talking about regulation and what this looks like in the future. And something that I was talking about on the show last night, those of you who watched it will remember this, is that a lot of times crypto enthusiasts want to have their cake but then eat it too. And what I mean by that is they want Bitcoin to stay decentralized. And they don't want people to have any control of it whatsoever, but they also want the price just to shoot up and to the right. And here is the problem. As long as we keep regulation out, and as long as we discourage and keep the things that will allow institutions and larger money investors to come into the space, we will not go up into the right. We will actually move sideways, if not to the side and down to the right. And it's just the concept of what happens with decentralization. Regulation and centralization are a part of what is in the future, are going to be a part of what makes it go up and to the right. It's not going to be what our first choice is, but what T-Shroom's kind of getting at, I don't think any person sitting here saying, my first choice is I would love to give control to some sort of entity and let them control the space and have regulation. That's nobody's first choice that loves crypto, that's a retail investor. What we're getting to a point is realizing, all right, if I'm looking at this and saying, would I rather it stay 100% decentralized but just move sideways for the rest of existence, potentially even move to the downside, or allow there to be a little regulation and move it a little bit more centralized to where there is some control that can be had and the price goes up and to the right, but it's not completely centralized, that's the area that we realize A is going to come, but B needs to come to bring the larger money into the space. Because remember, Bitcoin will only be as valuable insofar as the masses view it as having a high demand and having a high price point. If institutions and companies and whales don't want to invest in Bitcoin because they're scared of what's happening and there's no regulation happening, the price will not shoot up. It's kind of one of those things we just have to grow up and realize. We're hoping that Bitcoin continues to fight the centralized currencies of fiat, but there will be a sense of not 100% decentralization. Regulation is a necessity for bullish momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's a new technology, guys. It's a new horizon, and it's a dawn of a new era for value and energy. And exchange of goods in a whole new way. And it's going to take time, and obviously it needs to be regulated at some point. The real question I have is like, is this too premature? Is it too early to start regulating? It was obviously too early to start regulating, in 2009 when Bitcoin first dropped, because just nobody knew exactly how this was going to play out. But now that it's had, a while to develop here, multiple years, I think it's time that we kind of take everything we've learned about crypto and about how the direction of Web3 and start to implement some common sense rules that can be changed if need be. And never rules that ever touch the supply of crypto, of Bitcoin at least, because that would be silly and probably impossible. But rules that really more apply to wallets, to where, if you're out there, paying for hits, if you're paying for crimes, or illicit goods or committing fraud, the authorities in the nation that you're doing that, they need to be able to, enforce the laws of that country. And so, that's where I think the greatest need for regulation is obviously protecting the consumer. But that one gets a little slippery because then you start to get into the liberty of each individual consumer. So, if you go to my screen, we'll go into the next story, though. Cardano's founding entity, Emergo, to invest over $200 million to boost the ecosystem. So this is kind of a little bit of what I've been saying. Is like, what's going to send Cardano to the moon? It's not necessarily going to be the Vasil hard fork story. It's going to be the dApps that acknowledge, whoa, like, okay, Cardano really is the real deal. It's really awesome, and it's very competitive compared to, something like Binance Smart Chain compared to Ethereum. The current leaders of Web3 and of Web, yeah. And so when those dApps start to sign big contracts and get into big partnerships with Cardano, that's where you're going to start to see the price of Cardano actually move, because that's how business-minded people with money to invest understand. So far, they just look at Cardano and they see, value, but not an increasing level of value. And that's, partly their fault for their limited understanding. And I'm talking about investors on aggregate, not any one investor. Of course, there's plenty of people who are invested in Cardano from an educated standpoint, and they're in it for the right reasons, and they've done the due diligence. But I'm talking about Wall Street, really. I'm talking about those who trade the billions and billions of dollars that are in people's 401ks. That is the lion's share of how innovation actually happens and how investment actually moves into big next generation projects. Well, it looks like Cardano is leading the way to spark exactly that phenomenon with launching this $200 million fund to boost their ecosystem. Ken Kodama told CoinDesk on the sidelines of the ongoing Token 2049 conference on Thursday that Cardano's development lab, Emergo, will invest over $200 million to support the ecosystem's growth over the next 3 years. So that's important to note. That's going to be not all at once over the next 3 years. The funds, which were from Emergo's own capital, will be provided to projects directly building atop Cardano and to projects from other networks that build products that integrate Cardano's network alongside their own. Kodama said $100 million will be earmarked for investments in Africa under Emergo's African Investment Initiative. So half of that going to Africa. And this just highlights the genius of Charles Hoskinson and the rest of the team there, who understand what Africa could mean to the world. There's so much untapped intellectual resource over there, and there's just geniuses over there in Africa that have not been able to contribute in the same way that you hear the big names like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and all the folks in Silicon Valley, because the folks in Africa, the innovators there, are held back by their government and held back by other influences, mostly corrupt government and lack of other resources. And so Cardano has been really smart, the leadership over there, to invest in Africa. And here, again, being committed to that intentionality of trying to bring that continent into the spotlight and into the Web3 world before it gets too far ahead of what Africa could do to participate. Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't really know all the intricacies of what Charles Hoskinson sees in Africa, But from what I've understood, he thinks there's a lot of untapped potential there. And so the overall story here is that this new funding, this $200 million to help dApps integrate with Cardano and to incentivize dApps to come to Cardano is extremely significant for the price of Cardano. This is probably the biggest bullish headline since the Vasil hard fork. And the fact that $100 million of that, half of it, is going to Africa just shows the commitment that Charles Hoskinson has and their team has to that continent and its development, which is, it's very admirable. It's awesome. While a lot of, while Ethereum's big, claim within this last month has been kind of environmentalism, Cardano, was already there, was already proof of stake, and say what you will about it. But it is now looking to bring an entire continent into the 21st century and not leaving it behind as Web3 emerges as the most important technology this side of the Mississippi, you might say. Moving on into the last story here. Someone just paid $4.5 million for the CryptoPunks Ethereum NFT despite the bear market. So that's really the headline. I'm not going to read too much more of it. There's the NFT. But there it is, NFT number.
That's how I feel about it.
2942 from Yuga Labs. Look, it's really interesting. Does this really mean anything to you? Smay is our resident NFT guy. Doesn't mean anything.
Oh, you mean like the significance of somebody paying $4.5 million for this?
Well, it's just in this time in the bear market. What does that mean to you?
I think it means that it's somebody who has a lot of money who is late to the party. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think to me it means that somebody's predicting the bottom of the NFT market. Putting their money where their mouth is instead of going out and talking about it. They're just being about it and they're buying it. And there's a bunch of other reasons why this could have happened. Tim, what do you think?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I have no idea why anyone would spend more than about $10 on an NFT at this point. I think that this space is young.
All right, that's okay.
So
that's a pretty.
I just would not. Okay,
I'm
just me. I would never buy a picture of a monkey, no matter how pixelated it is.
I mean,
I wouldn't buy it for more than $10.
I actually don't blame you, and these are the kind of projects that bothers me because I think it's a very bad use of NFTs. But the fact of the matter is, and I'm not just saying it because I'm biased against maybe CryptoPunks. What I'm saying is, it sounds like because the whole thing with CryptoPunks is that it was one of the big mainstream popular ones. I think this to me screams one because a lot of the celebrities got into CryptoPunks. This screams to me, not that a celebrity bought it, but that somebody with money wanted to be a part of this club and came late to the game. I think that's what it is. I mean, I'm convinced that's probably what it is. Or what you're saying, T-Shroom, somebody thinks that they're going to be able to, profit off of this by the time the bull run comes along.
It could be kind of the same reason why I bought ApeCoin, because it's like I didn't get into NFTs in this last bull run. I just stayed out of it. I didn't understand it enough. I did research. I started to understand like what projects were and why people were getting into them, but I still never felt compelled to get into it. But I bought ApeCoin about 2 weeks ago because I am into crypto and I understand coins and the values and why people buy coins. And I felt that ApeCoin really will have value in the future because it's tied to one of the biggest crypto NFT projects that's out there. I don't think it's going to be the next dollar. I don't think it's going to ever be able to compete with a layer one like Cardano or Ethereum, but I think it is going to have some value to somebody. And if the NFT project starts to blow up, the Bored Ape Yacht Club starts to blow up, and it becomes ingrained in a game like Fortnite or whatever the next Fortnite or Minecraft is, then that ApeCoin could be extremely valuable. Did I put $1 million into it? No, I put like $100 into it, right? And I'm only down like $7 on that right now. So I'm gonna hold it, and I probably won't buy too much more, but that's kind of my take.
I think the thing is, I'm much more bullish on the future of Bored Ape Yacht Club because of exactly what you just said. How it can definitely become something that's integrated into pop culture, whether that be through games like Fortnite. Although I doubt Fortnite's as hot as it was, but I feel like Bored Ape has more of an ability to seep into more popular culture than I think CryptoPunks can. CryptoPunks to me is a project that it's kind of like the last remnant of an inflated bubble of a NFT market, and
interesting.
I kind of want it to finally find its eternal rest in the bear market.
Well, and my last thing I'll say, by no means should people listen to my advice when it comes to purchasing NFTs. Part of the reason why I'm so avidly against it is me even saying I don't get it, and I'm not going to invest in money in something I don't get. I understand that others have it valuable, and I think that's something really cool that you said there, T-Shroom. You don't have to fully believe in projects to invest in them, like you just bought the Ape coin, right?
Coin, yeah.
Okay, you don't have to think that, man, down the road, I'm going to utilize ApeCoin on heavy levels. You can get to and do the research and dig into it and say, well, I don't get it. I don't like it. I know others do, and I know I can make money doing so. For me, there are some other things I'm going to do that with. I'm not going to do that with NFTs like pictures of monkeys. I think down the road, I will explore in buying NFTs with a lot more use cases. So, for example, NFTs we see developing for concert tickets, like what we see with Harry and his team, what they're doing with their NFT line. When we're seeing things like you can purchase this NFT and it gives you the right to certain things down the road. I would even understand at this point NFTs having to do with athletics. I love the world of sports. Athletic like cards, like I would understand the value there. I do not understand the value of a pixelated monkey and saying, well, there's only one of these out there, and I bought it from somebody for $2.5 million, and now it's worth $2.6 million. Do you want to buy it from? I don't get it, and I'm also not willing to go in and do the research of what that market is for. I'm gonna actually keep my attention to other places and things A, that I'm interested in, that I see the value in, and B, things that maybe I won't use, but I understand how valuable it is to other people. Those are the projects I'm investing in. So for me, I'm not an NFT guy when it comes to these artsy photos. I will be a use case NFT guy down the line.
Well, it's not artsy. So here's the thing about it.
You're right. It's not artsy, but that's
these projects are it's
status.
The value is tribalism, right? Yeah. So you're paying to be a part of a tribe. And so to some people, that's extremely, extremely important. Like the fact of the matter is, who else owns Bored Ape Yacht Club? Post Malone, Jimmy Fallon, what's his name?
All the cool
Dave
guys.
Portnoy, all the cool rich guys.
All your
right?
favorite guys.
And so if you own now a Bored Ape Yacht Club, you have the money to afford one. Now look at you. You're a part of a club of status, right? So that and that's what people are paying for with these NFT projects, which is why some of them are still going to stick around. But they're going to come in ebbs and flows, similar to fashion, right?
But
we saw the same thing with Supreme, with Bape, with Gucci, and all this stuff. It's the same exact thing that it comes and goes.
What you just described seems like it's almost like this group, like this, what's the best way to put it?
A herd?
Not a herd, but like it's like this private club.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it is.
A club of cool guys. Well, guess what? That club is only cool insofar as only cool guys stay in the club. The minute anyone from the outside starts getting in, you're talking about rug pull situations because there's nothing going on there.
Yeah.
That's another reason why me, a smaller retail investor, I'm not going to mess with that and play with that with a 10-foot pole, because I feel like anytime I could get anywhere close to getting into that club is when the club is over.
But you're exactly right.
So I'm going to go after things that don't have that type of scrutiny to it. I'm going to go after sure things.
But here's the thing: is it's like if there's a project where celebrities and people of significance actually get into it at an increasing rate, that's where you would start to pay attention. Because where is this all going? This is all going to like a place where either in the metaverse or in real life, you are able to go into some actual club where there's an exclusive entry and you can go communicate with the Post Malones and the, whoever, maybe politicians, whoever it is. And because you have this NFT, this key to entry, you can go talk to them. And all it is just money. It's just the ability to get in.
But can we philosophically though? Do you want to know what's wrong though with a lot of people in the United States is that wealthy people have made an image that if you do this, you are a wealthy person. So if you have a nice car and a gold chain and you have a nice watch and there's all this stuff, and what ends up happening? What has happened to our culture where people who are really not financially well off will do everything they can to purchase the nice vehicle and the nice chain and the nice watch and the nice suit. And in all reality, they are not wealthy, but they want to look wealthy. And then what we see happening is the real wealthy people of the world, the billionaires, they don't dress that way anymore. They're actually buying very simple clothes. Yes, the clothes might have cost them $1,000, but they're buying these simplistic things. And it's this like roundabout thing where it's like the wealthy, the elite will create this image that others, the whole purpose of creating that image is they know that the smaller, poorer people will look at that and say, I want to be just like that. And so they will do the fake change and stuff. They will try to get these things. And then it's this rug pull where we completely pull it from beneath them. I mean, how many people have you seen? I've driven past neighborhoods where I'm like, the house is literally falling in, but they have a super nice car outside.
It's the same thing.
And then they have like, if you see them dressed, you would think that they were like millionaires, and they're broke. Like they're working like a job as a janitor.
I think there's
just on the weekend.
I think there's some of that. I just think it's so early.
I just think that I want to put an end to that culture where people think that they need to put on an image to look fancy.
I agree.
I want to see people actually create real wealth that benefits them, their family, and their future generations. And so to me, if that's what this NFT line is, that's toxic and poisonous, and actually is an enemy of what we're trying to accomplish with changing
financial
wealth
sovereignty
through crypto.
Yeah, I agree with the majority of what you're saying, but I think that you also have to realize a lot of this is leading up to the metaverse. And yeah, I mean, the metaverse is another vanity in a sense. It's, but it also could be the next internet. So there's a lot about just the newness of technology and how this is kind of just a new gold rush in a sense. But yeah, to the extent that it's vanity is the part that I'm not impressed with at all. I could care less, and that's why I haven't really bought anything. But I do like to, in terms of NFTs, but I do like to track the evolution of the technology and how it's being adopted and where there's innovation, because I do think once the metaverse becomes a lot more significant, a lot more adoptable, that these NFTs, they'll be maybe more or less valuable. That's not really as much as what I'm concerned about. It's the way that they interact with this new sense of digital scarcity within the metaverse. That's what fascinates me. But Tim, we have some breaking news here. Do we want to get into that, or
I would love to get into
I think this could potentially be the biggest news of the year in crypto if this is passed. So if you go to my screen, Smay, U.S. lawmakers draft a bill to allow Bitcoin crypto in 401k plans. So I didn't know a lot about this, but this is why we haven't seen those Fidelity 401k plans really come back around. They announced that they were going to be doing them, but it looks like maybe their researchers and their lawyers were like, hey, we got to pump the brakes on that. And they did, and now they're like, okay, we got to get with the Republicans to be able to pass a bill. So this is I'm reading this for the first time in the same sense that you all are hearing it for the first time. Republican lawmakers drafted a bill enabling investment managers to offer Bitcoin in 401k plans. The bill seeks to remove liability for a breach of fiduciary duty for offering access to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. The bill is likely to be presented following the midterm elections in November of this year. And then it goes into more of the specifics about the specific Republicans that are into this. But yeah, it's going to amend the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974 to add classifications of these types of assets fiduciary are permitted to offer. So right now, you may not have a 401k or an IRA, but if your parents do, they cannot go to their fund manager, to their personal wealth manager and say, hey, I want to start buying crypto into my 401k. They can buy MicroStrategies, and maybe Tesla to a lesser degree, and that's how people have been gaining exposure to Bitcoin. But they have not been able to buy Bitcoin spot in and put that in their 401k. And there's no spot ETF for Bitcoin in the US. So this would be the way around it. This would be a big I don't want to say middle finger, but this would be a big obfuscation of Gary Gensler and his obstinance and his stubbornness to be able to pass a Bitcoin spot ETF from the SEC. So if Congress could pass a bill here and get that rolling, but this wouldn't happen until after November. So what do you guys think about this? This is pretty big news here.
I mean, it's just a bill. It's just a bill proposal, by the way.
Correct.
So before we get crazily excited, we got to temper those expectations. But it would be super cool. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with elections. I do think, as more people are educating themselves on crypto, crypto remains a bipartisan issue. There are several people from both the right and the left who like crypto, and there are several people from both the right and the left that do not like crypto. I do think, based on what we're seeing, it is starting to shift to be more predominantly conservatives and Republicans that are pro-crypto. Again, several Democrats that are pro-crypto. So I'm not trying to say that automatically all Democrats hate it.
It's nonpartisan, really.
It is nonpartisan, but again, I'm seeing a shift happen. So it will be interesting to see what happens with the elections, where I think at this point there's some widespread belief based off of what's happening with the economy. We could see a shift over back to Republican Party being in control, in which case this bill carries a lot more weight, has more grounds for being approved. It would be interesting. Now, something that we should be paying attention to, this is the other thing, when you first said it, as exciting as it is, another thing to remember is we still live in a world of manipulation where people will take advantage of the retail investors' thoughts and emotions. I would not be surprised if, let's say this bill ends up passing, and if it passes, it's probably going to be a long time before it really gets utilized. I wouldn't be surprised to see a sell the release type of action when this finally, if this goes through and people are able to do this,
really,
people will take advantage of it, and they'll. So what I'm
think
saying,
this would be a
it's
sell the
long-term
news?
bullish. It's long-term bullish, but
Yeah.
what do manipulators and whales who want to trade? First of all, let's go back to what trading crypto and trading stocks and everything is. You are literally, at every time you enter a trade, you're taking money from someone else. Like if you're buying, you're buying something from someone else, you're taking it away from them. If you're selling it to someone, you're pretty much saying, this is not worth this anymore. I'm going to dump it on somebody else. When you're longing stuff, the wise know, let's get the market to a place where we can steal from the retail investor. That's how they can make so much money. So they wait for good stories like this to happen, and that's why it's a buy the rumor, sell the release, sell the news type of event. And they bring the price down, and then all these retail investors get discouraged about it, and they're like, well, yes, I can go put Bitcoin and Ethereum into my 401k, but I just watch the price. The people won't know. All they'll know is now that I'm interested in putting it in my 401k, I just watch the price plummet by 10%. They're used to the stock market world where a 10% dip is enormous. It scares them away. They don't want to touch anymore. The the institutional investor, the whales, can come in and gobble more supply at a 10% discount, knowing that they just freaked people out.
Wow.
And they can take it. That's how they work. And that's what channels like what we're doing is trying to help you guys prepare for moves just like that. So when I heard this, I was excited, but it also made me think when this comes to be, don't be surprised for there to be a little fear pumped into the market to discourage retail investors from actually utilizing it.
Yeah, I actually I'm a bit perplexed that that's how you digested this, because what I think this is one of the first by the news stories that we've had in a while, because this more than likely won't pass, I would say, because it's 3 Republican lawmakers that are trying to draft this. If they got a Democrat on board as a signature, then maybe
Which they could.
This could be, they absolutely could.
They probably will.
This could be a lot more likely to pass. So I would think that you wouldn't buy this. You wouldn't buy Bitcoin on this news. I think that you would wait until the day, and if it passes, then you see a spike, because I think this more likely than not won't pass. But this would be for a development standpoint, this is the first iteration to see who would vote for it, who doesn't, and then they throw another one in probably mid-2023 that has compromises in it, and then it would be greenlit by the fall of next year.
The timeline I'm talking about, T-Stream, is right now nothing.
You make a good point, though.
When this starts picking up traction, it's not approved yet. When this starts picking up traction and looks inevitable, that's the buy.
Yeah.
That's the let's buy it.
Right.
And
I
then
agree
it'll
with that.
happen. They'll vote on it. It'll be official, and it gets approved by all the ways that bills get approved and gets put into law. And then now you have a bunch of new retail investors who have never invested in crypto or Bitcoin before who are like, oh, I can add Bitcoin to my 401k. I heard it's been rallying recently. They come in knowing nothing about crypto, watch a 10 to 20% dip, which we know is, we don't like them, but we know those are normal. To them, that's the freakiest thing they've ever seen. Yeah. And then they're discouraged getting Bitcoin whatsoever, and the prices are dipped, and that's a good example for institutions to go gobble more good supply.
So yes, the hitch in that I would disagree with is the fund managers here. So you go sit down with your fund manager. You say, hey, look, my my nephew has been he's been in Bitcoin. I've been here. I just heard that I can put it in my 401k now. Okay, the majority of the wealth managers are going to say, look, you're over the age of 50. You have no you have no business getting into this high risk of an asset, okay? But then there's going to be another tranche of wealth managers that are like, hey, we should do this. We should do this for you guys. You have money set aside for higher risk investments in your 401k. Let's get some exposure to Bitcoin. And they're going to sit there. If they feel comfortable letting their clients get exposed to Bitcoin, then they're going to, I would imagine on average, they're going to, especially because this is the first time this has been legal for them to, essentially allow for their clients, they're going to do a lot of due diligence. The ones that feel comfortable are going to become articulate in explaining this to their clients. And I don't think that their clients are going to go in blind. They're going to say, hey, look, you're very likely to lose everything with this Bitcoin, deal. And the ones that are like understand the technology, understand and feel conviction about Bitcoin, they go ahead with it. I think that's going to be a very small percentage of the US population to start with. And if they see a 10%, 20% decline of Bitcoin, I think they're going to have a higher tolerance for watching that decline, and they're not going to be as inclined to sell. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah. You wouldn't want what your concern is you wouldn't want all of America to FOMO into Bitcoin, thinking that this is going to help them get out of debt or meet their retirement goals ahead of time, and then Bitcoin tanks, and then Bitcoin gets the worst brand ever and never gets bought back ever again. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a very slow process of 401k owners getting into Bitcoin as more and more fund managers feel comfortable with letting their clients in.
Again, this is the last thing I'll say here. Long-term bullish. Long-term, this will be good as people begin to realize it. But we are still fighting a battle right now. Tisha, remember the other night, there's this video going out Saturday. We interviewed college students, but one of the interviews, you guys will see this.
I'm so excited for
this guy walks up. It was a dad.
Total dad.
He walks up. He starts talking. Very intelligent. You can tell he's invested in real estate. He's invested in the stock market. He's been following stuff. He's up to date on everything he needs to know. But when we asked about Bitcoin, he literally said, I don't trust things that are not tangible. I got to go. And then it runs off.
Yeah.
We are dealing with very intelligent people who have money to invest. Millions, billions, and then when you add them all together, trillions. But there's still an overall fear of Bitcoin, of the unknown, because they haven't done their research. Yeah. And again, you see, with the way this market works, with manipulation, and I think we still have years of manipulation in the space left before we start having some real control there. Watch them get freaked out. And the people like this man, never got his name, as intelligent as he is, say, I don't want to touch Bitcoin with a 10-foot pole, because yes, there's days where it rallies 30%, but I'm worried about those days where it falls by 10 to 20%. I don't want to touch it, especially when you see things like that happen on the breaking of what should be good news. You see volatility happen on good news, it scares people who are even intelligent in the trading world, in the investing world. We got Mark Yusko put it best. We have the next couple of years, potentially all the way out to 2027, if not 2028, are the years of they used to ignore us, they used to laugh at us, now they are fighting us. They're scared of us. Watch. Bitcoin can set a new all-time high before then, but I'm saying there's going to be a phase where there's still so much lack of education and people are still afraid of the unknown, and Bitcoin is still the unknown to people who don't put the time in. So we'll see, though. We had a long time before we see who's right about what happens on the action, if it even comes to pass, even if the bill passes, right? Yeah. Let's go ahead, let's transition and go look at some price action real quick. I told you guys it was going to be a shorter show. We are on pace to have a normal time show.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
It is, we get us together, we can talk about just about anything. Really quickly, though, before I dive in, I'm going to go down to the 30-minute chart. I don't usually go that low, but just giving it a macro outlook, which is funny to say looking at the 4-hourly chart, we are still holding strong with this flat level of support. The bad news is, though, that's still holding strong within the descending triangle that we have been in now for a while. Those of you who know technical analysis know these traditionally break to the downside, but we're watching this strong support level and hoping maybe that there is some sort of catalyst that will send us upside of this resistance level. Right now, though, there is a lot of volatility going on in the space ever since we got the report of the negative GDP, that drop that we had, 0.6% drop. If I'm going to go and let me scroll in here, and I'm going to make sure I don't get covered by my face because I know you guys see me in the bottom left corner. Right here, this is the 8:30 slot when we got the announcement. There was actually a good little drop here. We dropped on the news. We dropped about 3%, almost 3% down back to the support level, but now we are back up. We had a wick go back up around 19,600 before hovering again. It is going to be interesting to see what happens here. For the last couple of days, Bitcoin has been bouncing and cannot decide, does it want to break support? Does it want to go back up and hit this level of resistance? Does it want to break through the resistance? You're going to find people people on both sides of the aisle saying that Bitcoin has new bottoms to set very soon. Others saying, no, we're going to continue to range between about 18,000 and then potentially go all the way up towards 30,000. Let's look at a couple levels on Bitcoin you guys should be watching. The first one right here at 19,000. Why did I click that? 19,900, give or take, right about 20,000. This is the level of the quarter open. This also, coincidentally, is just under the level of the September open. You guys know traditionally, if you're going back and look at the past, Septembers are bearish. As long as we stay below there, that trend continues. But could we see a rally back up by tomorrow back to this level, or do we even break it and break the trend of having bearish Septembers? Let's look at a couple other things to keep your eyes on with volume. We'll go back, and instead of, I won't need to grab all the information. I'm just going to grab a good amount and see what key levels of volume are. We're hovering right below this key one right here. That's what we were rejected at, 20,200. Right now, we're sitting a little bit south of this gap here at 19,600, which is where we rejected at this morning. This is going to be the question. Can the bulls mount a little rally to climb this hill and get back towards that quarterly open, or will we stay suppressed below it? In which case, there is still strong support as high as 19,000 itself, if not as low as 17,600. But it is going to be interesting to see how we close not only September, but the quarter here on Bitcoin. And starting off usually what are bullish Octobers and bullish quarter fours. We'll see how we respond to that one. Another levels to look at. Let's use some other technical analysis to review some levels. Let's go back up to the peak we had back here earlier September, down to the bottom, and look at our Fibonacci levels. We currently are sitting right at and right hovering. Let's see. Yes. Right above, the 0.236 level, rejecting at the 0.5. The question we had asked a couple days ago is, can we make it all the way up to the golden pocket, to that resistance level closer to 20,900 technically would get the job done. Keep your eyes on these levels. So I told you guys about the quarterly open being around 19,900. Watch the 0.382 level at 19.8 potentially serve as some rejection. It looked like it did right here. This was yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, we rejected close to that level. We continue to kind of move. We've come down again to the support level, but now hovering back above 236. This is a question. Can the bulls mount a rally, or can the bears begin to actually press us down? I still believe, in my personal opinion, and this is not financial advice, I still believe at the least, this red line of resistance, descending resistance, will be touched one more time if we end up breaking, going to lower lows. I do think that we have at least one more good rally left in us to hit that rejection, if not breaking through it. A couple other coins that are moving this morning, again, because everything was moving just a little bit. Ethereum, it's, when I say moving, it's moving low terms. It's kind of staying boring. Couple of things that we want to keep an eye on Ethereum. It's doing stuff a little bit differently than Bitcoin. It's hovering above this volume we've been talking about now for a while. The key level right here, the reason why it was significant that we came down and tested it, was this was resistance we had back in June and July that was never revisited to turn into support. That's exactly what we did right here, which is why I still think there's a strong case for some bullish momentum on Ethereum moving forward. But if we cannot hold, watch for us potentially dropping as low as $1,000 back into this range. You guys will see if I use the fixed range volume profile. Man, I'm going to take a breath for just a second. You guys can see if I use the fixed range volume profile, we are currently sitting right at a very key peak. In fact, over the last 2 quarters, this has been the point where the most amount of crypto has been traded. Probably the reason why we have spent so much time at it here the last couple of days. If we cannot hold, though, and we drop down to these peaks, that's where we'll see between 1,200 and, again, about 1,000. That's the volume you see. A lot of money being exchanged, a lot of Ethereum being exchanged down there. If the bulls can make a rally, now we're talking about a zone maybe between 1,400 as high as even $1,800. Let's watch and see what has control there. Of course, still with Ethereum, we got a weird situation going on where the fundamentals have shifted, where we had that triple halvening, and now all of a sudden, even if demand keeps dropping, supply is dropping on Ethereum as well. So that is what makes it super interesting. Last one, Cardano's been boring. I'm going to show you guys XRP. XRP, after having a phenomenal month, is cooling back down, coming back down to key former resistance levels, now turning to support. So same thing with Ethereum. Can the bulls on XRP continue to hold these levels of 42 cents? If not, there is a chance we end up dropping down to a zone. Let me put this fixed range volume profile, show you guys some key levels here. You guys see fat zone, but between 31 cents, and then I'm going to put it as, let's right here to about 37 cents. It is a battle to fight off and hold the 42-cent region. If we cannot watch for 37 cents, potentially as support, and then if that one doesn't hold, we're probably looking at back coming down to the ranges between, like I said, 31 cents and 37 cents being a zone to continue to trade sideways. That's what we're seeing on the charts this morning. I didn't want to go too much in detail because there wasn't a crazy amount, but keep those levels. If you guys are trading and if you guys are investing wisely, keep those levels in the back of your mind. I guess last one I know T-Stream wants to say something here in a second. Last one, the Dixie continues to fall. I forgot about this. I wanted to mention this one. The Dixie is falling this morning, right? What's weird, though, is that the bond or the yields, these shorter 2-year and 1-year yields, they're starting to turn down here just a little bit on the 4-hour charts. They were actually climbing this morning. I believe on the daily chart, they're going to find a green candle still. Yes, you're still going to find a green candle on the daily chart on government yields. So keep your eyes on that. This is confusing because traditionally these trade together, but when they split up, a good way to think about this is more often than not, the smart money is going into the yields, and the Dixie is actually a distraction. So let's watch to see if we continue to see a climb on the yields and the Dixie actually starts to reverse and go back to the upside, or does the U.S. yields actually flip and go back bearish and match the Dixie as we're coming back down potentially as low as 107 again before we see another rally. T-Stream, do you have a thought on the charts?
Yeah, I just wanted to show the Atom charts. So Atom has broken through this uptrending level of support, and it is now, through even the second level that I had drawn there. So things looking kind of bearish there for Atom. It was on a great run. It had been outpacing Ethereum and Bitcoin in this same time period, but now it's breaking down. It doesn't mean it has to go lower from here, but it looks like it probably will once you break down this much support, and then it's going to be probably a move lower. And look, it also tracks the rest of crypto as well. But over this last since like mid-June, it has actually been on a tear, doing really, really well. Also, wanted to point out Binance coin, not something we talk about too much. It's actually up today. It's one of the coins that are up. I believe Solana was leading the top 10, but Binance up today as it's been really like working around this downtrending line of resistance, and just like it cannot make up its mind if it's going to flip it into support or resistance here. And Tim, I guess you can't see my screen, right?
Not very well, no.
Yeah, so it's just playing around here and just not able to figure out what it wants to do. But right now,
Binance?
Yeah, but right now it's treating this line as support, which is kind of interesting. What I will say though, what scares me about Binance is, let me zoom out, is just how far it can fall here. Man, look at that. Like this, it's not really a gap, but in terms of like where people have accumulated, there's not much accumulation here at all. Maybe a little bit around 135-ish, but like, this thing could come down to $45, it kind of in the drop of a hat if it really, if things started to go south for crypto. Like, who knows how far this thing could fall, because there's just not a lot of accumulation. What I mean by that is like people that do own Binance at these levels, from 45 to about 180, there's not so much of them. So it wouldn't take much to convince them to sell. And so the price would just drop a lot faster. It would be like cutting through butter versus cutting through, tree bark. It's going to be a lot easier to cut through these levels than to cut down through this level, because this is a much more accumulated level. Yeah. This is kind of what VPVR is. If we were to turn that on, you can kind of see there's very little, even where we've been since February 2021, there's not been a ton of accumulation points anywhere near where it was below 45. So Binance coin has a very far to fall, but right now it's outpacing the rest of crypto. And I don't really know why that is. I mean,
go to my screen here really quickly. You look at a couple of things. First of all, Binance, we've been covering this one. We don't cover it all the time, but it's been in a falling megaphone pattern for a while, of which case currently right now we are hitting our heads on the red line. Now, we've been riding that red line a little bit, but you guys, when we did last do technical analysis, we were looking at a head and shoulders pattern that had a call for all the way down to $228. Right now we're sitting at $281. Here's what I will say. There also seems to be some good, strong support around 265. Keep your eyes on that, but we are hitting our heads on rejection again. As you mentioned, Binance has been outpacing the rest of the space, but the good news is with that level of 265, you maybe could even drop it a little bit to about 260. That's strong support at a range that actually has the most amount of volume in the last 2 quarters. In fact, that 260 to about, let's see what this price is, about 332. That is a range that has the most amount of Binance coin being exchanged right now. If we cannot hold it, however, that's when we're talking about that prediction of the head and shoulders pattern, potentially going as low as 237, as low as 211 again, if not maybe even bullishly 240. That's the next zone we're looking at. There's not all, there's some volume, just not a whole lot. Binance coin, though, I wouldn't count against it. They've been holding up well, and in all reality, I actually think if you were to talk about altcoins, the major altcoins, I believe Binance has the least amount of crash in this bear market altogether of all the coins. Like, I think that it's actually the one that's held up the strongest.
Yeah.
Maybe FTT's coin, maybe they are sitting there similarly. These are exchange coins, but I'm not necessarily too concerned. I actually think there's a strong there's two different cases going on here, but I think there's a good case for some support. If that does not hold though on Binance, now we're talking about maybe a good little crash.
Yeah. So and that is a little bit frightening. As a cake holder, cake is kind of tied to Binance
Cake
a little
the same
bit.
way?
It's similar, but the takeaway there is Binance does a decent amount of burning. They're not as decentralized, that coin, and there's a good amount of burning that goes there, which may contributed to why it's been able to retain so much of its gains. All right, but looking forward into the future, this is really important. So today we got the GDP print. Yesterday, I wanted to point out, not super significant because Germany is a very isolated economy right now, but their inflation year over year, month by month, went up into double digits, right? So previously, their inflation was 7.9, pretty darn bad. The forecast was 9.4, and the actual print was 10. So beating or missing the forecast by 0.6, that's kind of scary. Tomorrow, America, the U.S. print for PCE is coming out, and its forecast is higher than previous, so already not great. Economists are thinking that inflation is going to be higher according to the PCE metric, which is different from CPI slightly. So that, stay tuned. I think that's probably why the market's selling off right now to a large extent, because we're anticipating a hotter inflation print, and that's going to be scary. And then also you got the Michigan consumer sentiment, which is forecasted to be higher, and I believe you want that. Yeah, you want this number to be high, and 59 is not that high comparatively. Historically, in October of last year it was at 71, December last year 70, and that number has come down. 50 is very low. We're at 59, so kind of at a moderate risk. Not risk is definitely not the right word, but moderate amount of production of consumer sentiment, and so we want to see that number higher, which it's forecasted to be, but we shall see. I mean, you also have to take into consideration what the Fed is trying to do is erode demand by making the dollar more expensive. They're trying to erode demand, and so the consumer sentiment becoming higher is actually countervails their efforts, if I'm not mistaken. So that could potentially be an outcome that could contribute to a more hawkish tone from Jerome Powell come November 2nd. But all of those things are very important. The big one is that tomorrow we're getting the PCE print, and that is more than likely going to bring markets lower, but it looks like they're pricing that in today. Yeah.
Good stuff. I mean, that's good to look forward to. Good news as we close out today's stream for you guys. This weird afternoon stream. This, Coffee and Crypto is the normal name of this stream. Didn't feel like that with an afternoon one, but I'm so glad we got to come and talk crypto with each and every single last one of you guys. I did not see any super chats. Smay, no. Am I wrong about that?
No,
yeah,
there
did not
none.
see any. It was great. Even, there were some times I got to communicate with you guys in chat. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. Make sure to tune back in tomorrow morning. We will be live again, normal time, barring less, something weird happens. But I think at this point,
second hurricane.
The hurricane is behind us or ahead of us. I guess the best way to, it went out ahead of us. There's some things you guys should know, though, just so you guys know. Tomorrow is the HODL Trophy announcement, so make sure if you entered and you think that you have a good chance of winning, you tune in tomorrow to find out who won. It is looking like an interesting race between myself and Smay. We will see if we get a good little rally and T-Shroom enters back into the picture as far as in office. But right now, it's looking like a tight race between Smay and myself.
Who's the previous winner?
The previous winner is Smay. Smay's won 2 in a row.
Well, I'm talking about of our community.
It is, we had...
Neutral Austin.
It's the natural...
And now it's normal Austin.
The normal
Austin.
Normal Austin.
Normal and neutral.
I thought, you've been putting his name in there. Good. The normal Austin is the reigning champ. Let's see if he can repeat. It's a lot harder to do that in community. I doubt that's going to happen. Hard. We got some exciting stuff coming out further with those games, though. Guys, we love each and every single last one of you. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. Harry will be joining the show. We always love having Crypto Vet here. That is all we have for you in this one. And again, weird day, but we wanted to come and give you guys everything you need to know. If you have not already, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more amazing content, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.
I thought you said you wanted to say Smay roll the intro.
Smay, roll the outro.
Oh, outro, sorry.